You ever see one of those burger box places off the highway? Not a Burger King, not Wendy's, not some franchise with commercials or a real brand. Just a white block of a building with a fading sign that says Burger Box in red vinyl letters, like it's been melting in the sun since the 70s. They're rare. There used to be more, supposedly. I only started thinking about them after I passed one on Route 19 a few months ago. I was heading to my sister's place for the weekend. I'd left late and ended up driving through some old county roads just before midnight. There it was, sitting in a dirt lot like a forgotten bunker. No cars, no street lights, just the glow of a cracked neon open sign in the window. I wouldn't have thought twice if not for one weird detail. When I passed it, I saw a little kid staring out the window. No parents, no workers, just a child, no older than 6, standing still in the dark behind the glass. I didn't stop, just kept driving. But I made a mental note of it, told myself I'd look it up later. And that's where this all started. There are no real websites for Burger Box, no Yelp, no Google reviews. The address didn't even register on Apple Maps. You try calling the number and it just loops a busy tone. Not even a voicemail. But I started digging. A few forums, deep stuff, dead threads from 10-15 years ago, had fragments. Posts titled, "Do not go to Burger Box," or "My brother disappeared behind the counter," or just strings of numbers with blurry photos of paper menus. Most were written like urban legends, but they all had that same vibe. Small towns, highways, kids alone, and something about the mirror door. I didn't think much of it at first. I figured it was just one of those old fast food chains that got bought out or killed by lawsuits. But then I found a mention of a man named Joel Karras. He'd been a health inspector in Missouri, and his name popped up again and again in connection to surprise inspections of Burger Box locations between 1993 and 2001. I found a PDF of one of his reports that had been uploaded to a conspiracy blog. Most of it was redacted, whole paragraphs blacked out, but one note stuck with me. Structural anomaly behind freezer wall. Acoustic resonance patterns do not match internal architecture. Possible undocumented access point. Management uncooperative. Strong odor. Children's laughter detected. No minors on premises. I couldn't let it go after that. I managed to track down Joel Karras. He's retired, living in Arizona. I cold called him. Told him I was doing a piece on defunct fast food chains. He didn't laugh. Didn't even hesitate. "You've seen one?" he asked. I told him about the one on Route 19. He paused for a long time, then said, "They're not supposed to be open anymore." He wouldn't say much, but he gave me one detail. Every time he filed a report about a Burger Box location, it was closed within a week. Corporate didn't exist, he said, but someone got the message. Before he hung up, he told me one last thing. "If you go back, don't go in the freezer. And for God's sake, don't talk to the kid at the register." I should have stopped there. Should have let it be. But I kept thinking about it. And a few nights later, I drove back to Route 19. It was raining hard, the kind of rain that makes your windshield feel like a shower curtain. I almost missed the turn. When I pulled into the dirt lot, it was like nothing had changed. The building still sat there in the dark, humming faintly with flickering lights. The same open sign buzzed in the window. The only difference was the kid was gone. I sat there for a while, just staring, and then, like a damn fool, I got out and went in. The door creaked open with a sticky rubber sound. The air inside smelled like warm plastic and fryer grease, but underneath that, something else, like wet concrete and pennies. The walls were a pale green with a checkerboard tile pattern halfway up. The tables were bolted to the floor, metal-legged with laminated tops that curled at the edges. Every seat was empty. The kid was behind the counter. He wore a red burger box cap and a faded yellow shirt with the company logo. He didn't smile, just watched me with big eyes, too big, like he didn't blink much. "Welcome to Burger Box," he said. "Would you like to try our happy patty?" His voice was calm, rehearsed, but flat, like it was coming from somewhere deep inside him and not out of his mouth. I didn't answer, I just looked around. Behind him I saw the kitchen, old fryers, a flat-top grill, no adults, no sound of cooking, just that humming light. There was a door marked storage, and to its left, a metal walk-in freezer door. The handle was wrapped in what looked like duct tape. "Do you have a restroom?" I asked, mostly just to say something. He pointed silently to a hallway to the right of the counter. I nodded and walked past him. His eyes followed me the whole way. The hallway was narrow and unlit. The light from the dining area barely reached past the doorway. As I walked, I noticed a soft echo under my feet, like I was walking on a hollow stage. There were 3 doors. One was the restroom. One was labeled Employees Only. The third had no label, just a mirror on the front, full length like something from a clothing store fitting room. I stepped closer to it. My reflection looked off. The lighting, maybe. But my reflection's eyes were wrong. Too dark, too deep. And then it blinked. I didn't blink. I backed away, turned fast, and walked straight back into the main room. The kid was gone. There was a new sound now, like a low whirring, barely audible. And something else. Wet footsteps. I turned toward the counter. The freezer door was wide open. Cold air poured out of it, thick and foggy. Inside, I could see racks of wrapped meat patties and old boxes, but they weren't stacked right. The space was too deep, too wide. I could see stairs. I wasn't in control anymore. My legs moved before my brain caught up. I stepped behind the counter. The floor was sticky with something. Not grease, something thicker. I looked down at the freezer again. The whirring was louder. My breath was visible now. It smelled like rot and vinegar. And then I heard it. The laughter. High-pitched, giggling. Dozens of voices. I stepped back, and the door slammed shut. I tried to run. I made it to the front door, but the moment I grabbed the handle, it crumbled in my hand like dried glue. The door was still there, but the glass was gone, replaced by a solid black sheet. I hit it. No sound, no give. I turned back. The dining room had changed. The booths were full now. People sat at every table, heads down, not moving. Their skin was pale, green-gray. Their mouths hung open, filled with what looked like straw and paper. Burgers spilled out of their laps. Fries crawled with tiny black worms. And standing in the middle of the room where the kid had been was something taller, much taller. It wore the same uniform but stretched tight across a torso that didn't match, limbs too long, shoulders too narrow, hands that bent the wrong way. It smiled, but not with lips, with teeth, dozens of them, spiraled rows like a shark's mouth layered with razors. "Time to clock in," it said in the same flat voice. I don't remember escaping. I woke up in my car, parked in a ditch 2 miles down the road. My phone was dead. My shoes were gone. My mouth was filled with ash. I drove home barefoot and didn't stop for gas until I was back in the city. I tried telling people. No one believes me. The burger box isn't there anymore. I went back a week later, just trees and gravel, like it was never there at all. But here's the worst part. Every now and then when I close my eyes too long in the shower, or when I'm half asleep in bed, I see a faint glow, a red open sign, buzzing in the dark, and I hear the voice, right next to my ear. "Would you like to try our Happy Patty? If you see one of those buildings, don't stop. Don't look in the window. Don't follow the kid. If you already have, you're on the clock now." I was not expecting visitors, especially not at 7:45 on a Tuesday morning. But there they were, 2 men on my porch, identical haircuts, identical white shirts and black ties, identical toothpaste commercial smiles. "Good morning," said the taller one. "We're here to talk to you about an incredible opportunity." "Religious?" I asked, still holding my coffee. "Yes, actually," said the shorter one, beaming. "We're representatives of the Infernal Employment Initiative." "I'm sorry," I said. "Did you say infernal?" "That's right," the tall one nodded. "We work for Satan, and we think you'd be perfect for a role in hell." I blinked, twice. "You've got to be kidding me." "No joke," the short one said, popping open a small black case. Inside were thick stacks of cash, perfectly arranged. "This is the signing bonus." "That's real?" I asked. "Absolutely," the tall one said. "In exchange for your services in Hell's Department of Strategic Acquisition." I stared. I had lost my job last month. My landlord had started calling me Big Guy instead of David. That money looked like freedom. "What kind of job?" "We can go over the details after you sign the contract," said the short one. "Got a pen?" I asked. 10 minutes later, we were no longer in my apartment. The floor had opened up like a trapdoor, and I was falling through blackness. The wind roared in my ears. Somewhere below I saw a city, glowing, twisted, and endless. I landed with a bone-jarring thud in an office lobby. Fluorescent lights flickered above lava-tiled floors. Music played softly in the background, The Girl from Ipanema, but sung in reverse. A receptionist with bat wings and glasses looked up from a crossword puzzle. "New hire?" she asked. "Yeah," said one of the men, brushing ash from his tie. "Straight to processing." I was brought into an office with a view of a boiling lake. The furniture was sleek obsidian. The man behind the desk had red skin, gold cufflinks, and a Bluetooth headset. His nameplate read Lucifer M, CEO and Dark Lord. "Welcome, David," he said, standing up to shake my hand. "Hell is thrilled to have you." Thank you." He sat down, steepling his fingers. So here's the thing. There's been a tiny clerical error. We were expecting Damien Blackthorne, necromancer and entrepreneur. But you used to do accounting for a frozen yogurt franchise. Lucifer grinned. Exactly. So we're going to pivot. You're going to help us fix a little problem in our sales division. Sales? We're losing market share, he said. Too many competitors. Angels, Scientologists, TikTok influencers. We need someone grounded. Someone who knows spreadsheets and awkward phone calls. That's you. I opened my mouth, then closed it. You'll be starting immediately, he said. Janine will show you to your cubicle. Week 1 in hell. The sales division was in sub-level 9 between the Department of Eternal Screaming and Accounts Payable. My desk was metal, bolted to the floor. The computer ran Windows Vista and had a suspicious bloodstain on the spacebar. There was a manacle under the chair for security purposes. My trainer was a demon named Trevor. He looked like a centaur made of bricks and static electricity. First things first, Trevor said, handing me a black binder titled Souls 101. You're responsible for acquiring, tracking, and cataloging newly signed souls in our Western Hemisphere sector. I don't know the first thing about souls, I said. That's fine. Most people don't. Think of them like NFTs, but evil. The work. Each day I was given a list of names, people likely to sell their souls if pushed hard enough. My job was to contact them, offer them irresistible deals, and lock in the contract. I was basically a cold-calling demon intern. Hi. This is David from Eternal Opportunities. Have you considered selling your soul today? Click. Repeat. One guy tried to send me a cease and desist. Another asked if I could beat the rate Scientology was offering. But slowly I got better. I started customizing the offers. One woman wanted a new body. Easy. A teenager wanted 5 million Instagram followers. We had a package for that. A tech bro wanted his app to go viral. Boom. Viral and also possessed. By the end of week 3, I had earned Hell's coveted Most Improved Soul Snatcher coffee mug. The promotion Lucifer called me back to his office. David, he said, lighting a cigar made of haunted leaves, you've got potential. Thanks. I'm promoting you to special projects. That sounds vague. It is, he said, grinning. You'll be working directly with our top client, Earth's elite, politicians, celebrities, CEOs, the real movers and sinners. I didn't like how he said that, but I nodded. Also, he added, don't go poking around in the file marked Project Phoenix. It's very above your pay grade. Naturally, I poked around in it that night. Project Phoenix buried beneath the HR server, guarded by a digital 3-headed hound named Carl. I found it Project Phoenix. It was an internal memo labeled RE Apocalypse as marketing tool. The plan: manufacture the illusion of global collapse, wars, climate disasters, financial chaos, to spike soul desperation. More fear, more bargains, more contracts. It was horrifying. It was also brilliant. I brought the file to Trevor the next morning. He read it, blinked his flaming eyes, then said, "You know how much we stand to make from this?" "Trevor, this is monstrous," he shrugged. "It's not illegal in hell." The moral crisis. I started sabotaging contracts. I hid files, lost leads, misplaced name lists. My soul count plummeted. Lucifer noticed. "Is everything okay, David?" he asked sweetly. "Because you seem reluctant." "Project Phoenix is evil," I said. "Evil?" He laughed. "David, everything here is evil. That's the business model." He stood up and walked to the window. "You're free to leave any time, of course," he said. "There's just the small matter of the contract you signed. What happens if I break it? You'll be transferred," he said, "to customer complaints." I'd seen customer complaints. It was a pit filled with voicemail recordings and screaming. Endless screaming. "I'll get back to work," I said. The coup. But I didn't. Instead, I started leaking internal memos to a group of rogue demons, calling themselves the Union of Misfit Fiends. They wanted reform, stability, less fire, more fairness. Our leader was a demon named Linda. She had horns, wings, and a law degree from Stanford. We planned a takeover. On Judgment Eve, Hell's annual performance review, I triggered the memo drop, exposing Project Phoenix to every department. Lucifer's office was swarmed by angry department heads within minutes. "You planned to crash Earth's economy again?" yelled one. "We just rebuilt the afterlife servers," screamed another. Lucifer was demoted, temporarily. The board brought in Linda as interim Dark Lady of HR and Reform. My new role, I was offered a choice: return to Earth with my memory wiped, or stay and lead the new Department of Ethical Possession Practices. I stayed. The money was still good, and now I had my own office. With windows. Trevor became my assistant. He even got me a nameplate: David Robbins, lead soul specialist, ethically redeemed. Sometimes I still hear screaming from down the hall, but I turn up my radio, sip my infernal coffee, and go back to work. Because this is hell, and even hell needs accountants. October 11th, 2006. They'll catch me eventually. Cops, feds, somebody in a suit with a badge and a sense of moral superiority. They'll find this journal and try to dissect it like it's some kind of manifesto. It's not. It's just my record. My truth, for what that's worth. The headlines are getting closer to my real name. One blog guessed it and quickly deleted the post, probably warned or paid off. I don't care. The point was never to stay hidden forever. The point is that I did something, that I mattered. People used to ignore the worst among them. Now, thanks to me, they're forced to look. My first kill was clean. A known predator. Worked in a church, if you can believe it. Held a youth outreach night every Thursday. Nobody ever checked what he did afterward. I did. I waited until he slipped up, followed him home, and I watched. Weeks of surveillance. I didn't need evidence. I needed certainty. He died in his garage, slumped in the front seat with the engine running, and a garden hose from the exhaust to the window. Carbon monoxide, classic and painless. I left the door locked and the stereo playing a children's choir CD. It made the papers. They called it a tragic suicide. Second one was messier, domestic violence. An ex-husband with a long record, short fuses, and a way of making his bruises disappear from official records. She filed restraining orders. They expired. The system lost them. He liked to stalk her from his car, idle outside her job, flash his lights when she looked outside. I waited until he broke in again. I let it happen. I stood in the hallway with gloves on, breathing through my shirt while he screamed at her in the kitchen. When he raised his fist, I stepped in. A fireplace poker cracked his skull. Twice, maybe 3 times. She ran. I stayed. I staged a struggle, sprinkled in just enough of her fingerprints to hint at self-defense. The DA never pressed charges. She moved out of state. Good for her. Third was personal, a drunk driver. He killed my sister 7 years ago and never served a day. Too rich, too white, too well-connected. I waited for him outside his country club. He came out alone, smelling like whiskey, keys in his hand. I offered him a ride. He laughed, waved me off. He didn't see the needle I shoved into his neck. Ketamine. He slumped into my trunk like an obedient animal. He woke up zip-tied in the driver's seat of a junkyard wreck I bought off a guy for $500 cash. I rigged the brakes, aimed it at a concrete wall, and let him figure it out. He died begging. Not for mercy, for someone else to blame. I don't enjoy this, that's a lie. Sometimes it's pure relief, a pressure release, a silence I can finally hear myself think through. Other times, it's hell. I see their faces when I close my eyes, and not the way you think. I see what they could have been if they weren't broken. I see boys who could have turned out kind, fathers who could have stayed sober, men who could have changed, but they didn't. They didn't. So I changed for them. Tonight's another job. The target is named Marcus. He runs a youth boxing club as a cover. Deals pills in the back room. Painkillers mostly, sometimes fentanyl, cut with just enough benzos to knock out a horse. He's killed 4 kids that I know of. One was 14. I watched him all week. He meets his dealer at a loading dock behind a shuttered grocery store at 2 a.m. on Fridays. Alone, armed, paranoid, perfect, 2:13 a.m. He's here. I let the tire iron slip from my sleeve into my hand. I wait until his back is turned, fiddling with a scale and a ziplock. 1 step, 2, swing. The first hit takes out his knee. He buckles with a scream that echoes through the empty parking lot. The second smashes his fingers before he can reach the Glock tucked in his waistband. I drag him behind the dumpster. He coughs blood and tries to reason. "It's just business," he says. I lean down close and whisper, "So is pest control." It takes 7 minutes for him to die. I make it slow, not out of cruelty, out of message. Every cracked rib is punctuation. Every moan is proof that he knew what he was. October 15th. Someone left flowers near the alley. One of the kids, maybe. They think he was killed in a drug deal gone wrong. They're half right. I'm starting to lose sleep. Not because I'm afraid, because I'm angry. There's no end to the list. No matter how many I cross off, more keep rising up. Like weeds, like rot. They say evil never sleeps. Well, neither do I anymore. October 20th. The teacher. Her name is Miss Elkins. Teaches middle school science and runs a private website on the dark web, hidden cameras in the girls' locker room. I posed as a janitor. It wasn't hard, just walked in like I belonged. I confronted her in the classroom after hours. She denied it at first, then blamed trauma, then tried to seduce. The stages of panic. I left her tied to a lab table with a beaker full of acid, slowly tipping. Gravity is a marvelous thing. I watched her confession before it spilled. Watched her sob into the camera, thinking she was bargaining. It was almost enough to make me stop. Almost. She didn't even scream. October 27th. My hands won't stop shaking. Too much caffeine, too little sleep. Or maybe it's something else. Conscience? Regret? Number, just anticipation. There's a judge I've been following, known for light sentences when the defendant is male and the victim is a woman. I sat in his courtroom, watched him dismiss a rape charge because the victim didn't fight back hard enough. He walks his dog in the same park every night, 8:15 sharp, wears headphones, listens to Sinatra. I'll let him hear one last song. November 1st. The papers are catching on. They don't say vigilante anymore. They say serial killer. I'm flattered, but they're wrong. A serial killer wants chaos. I want order. They think I'm a monster. I'm a mirror. Today I looked into my own reflection too long. The man I saw there was hollow-eyed, pale, unrecognizable. I need to be careful. Not because I'll get caught, but because I'll lose myself. I need to remember why I started. I need to pick the right ones. The real ones. Not just anyone. Not just because I'm angry. November 5th. The man in the mirror. He followed a girl out of a bookstore. I watched him. He was waiting for the right alley, the right moment. I got to him first. Just a knife this time. No speeches, no torture. Just one quick strike under the ribs. He died holding a bouquet. I left the girl a note. You were never in danger. He was. November 8th. I'm starting to think about the end. I won't get a trial. I won't get a movie. Maybe a Dateline episode. Maybe not. But someone will read this. Maybe you. And maybe, just maybe, you'll understand. Not agree, not forgive, just understand. There's one left, the one who started all this. Not the rapist, not the drunk driver. Me. I've become something I don't fully recognize. I've started to enjoy the fear in their eyes. That's not justice, that's hunger. So I'm writing this down. All of it. Not because I want to be caught, because I want to be remembered clearly. If I stop now, it's not surrender, it's choice. If I keep going, it has to mean something. And if I die before deciding, then let this journal decide for me. Whoever finds it, judge me. Call me what you want. Just don't pretend I didn't make you think. I'll be at the lake tomorrow, feeding the ducks, watching the water, waiting for either peace or purpose.